Hey, I'm Shelby.
And I'm Courtney,
We're exploring our past
looking forward to our future,
and living for the present, all
all
while
while
learning
learning
how
how
to
to
live
live
magic.
magically.
Hello.
Hey,
I'm so excited for this pod today.
I am too. I am
Like,
like amped.
yeah, we just got off the recording with Emily from Buy a Thread Boutique, and I'm like ready to run out of here and just take on the world.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, so we have again Emily from Buy a Thread Boutique, who's located in Pennsylvania, but you can also find her online. She shares all about it. Her story is just wow. We neither one of us knew it before hopping on to this chat today. Um, she's just I want to be friends with her.
I do too. And I'm just like it, from a from the perspective that like we came from the same degree and like the same state and the same like we both were in senior living and like I don't know, it's just so cool to me to see like what she's done with what she knows.
Yeah, like what a small world for you two. That is like
Yeah.
insane. And so I found her from like just I followed her on Instagram one day years ago. I truly do not remember how I found her, but I followed her on Instagram one day and we've like chatted in DMs and stuff. But yeah, and just asked her if she wanted to be on the pod. And I am so glad that she did because that was,
When you were like a fan first, right? Like you found her and bought clothing from her.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
I've never
you
met
shop
her
with
in real
her.
life. Yeah, I've never met
Yeah.
her in real life. It's all through social media. I've just like seen her boutique and stuff. And the shirt is from Buy a Thread. But
So cool.
yeah, her story, if there's any pod that you listen to, make it be this one because
Yeah.
that
This
was just
one's
really
fire. She's
okay.
fire and she's inspirational. Yeah. And like I just creeped on her website a little bit too. Like the romper selection is just hats off to her.
You're here for it.
I'm here for it. Like who has a whole section dedicated to rompers? It's
Should we
amazing.
should we plan a little girls trip and go celebrate their fifth birthday coming up?
I would love that.
I think we might have to.
Okay, great. I'll start looking at flights.
Okay, great. See you there. Okay, no,
See you
really.
there.
Enjoy this podcast with Emily. I can't wait to talk to her again.
So such good energy.
Alrighty.
All right, here we go.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey girl.
We are
Hey
so
there.
excited to have you, Emily. Like, so excited.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I have to like do a quick little before I started what was Cappy 47 and now it's Pixie Lee & Co. I actually had a dream of like owning a boutique. Like that was
Oh,
like the beginning of what I did. So,
I
anywho.
still have a dream of owning a boutique. Like that is the ultimate goal here.
Same.
Yeah.
But before we jump into the boutique, I want you to tell us a little bit about you and who is Emily outside of the boutique. So I know that you live in Pennsylvania. Um, Courtney used to live in Pennsylvania. Were you born and raised there? Grow up there? What's the deal with Pennsylvania?
Yeah. Well, yeah, so born and raised in Pennsylvania. I'm from Central PA, a really small town called Huntington.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, grew up there. Our claim to fame is Racetown Lake, if you're a boater or outdoorsy kind of person. Um, but like a very rural location, not close to very much.
You're
How
But
far
not
yeah.
from
you're
you,
not
Court?
far from Penn State though.
Not at all. No, actually,
Yeah.
like I grew up when we would go shopping, when we would go to the grocery store, when we would go to dinner or things like that. Growing up, we would end up in State College or Altoona were like our closest like cities.
Nice.
So we're about 45 minutes from my hometown to State College.
Okay.
So I know we said we weren't going to get into the boutique yet, but where is the boutique compared to
So
like that?
okay, so the store from like where I grew up is about 45 minutes to an hour. And then we are located about 10 minutes. We're actually from State College, so we're not very far. We're just kind of on the other side of it.
Oh, I have to like put out an SOS to all my people in State College.
We would love that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So cool. Okay.
All right. So, okay. So if you're not at the boutique, you're not working, which I know is hard for entrepreneurs, what can we find you doing?
So I've my husband and I, my husband Matt, we've been married for just over 7 years. We have 3 fur babies. We have 3 cats. I know you're a cat girl. We have Lucy, Jingles, and Nudie. Nudie, we call her Nudie, but her name is Noodle.
Oh,
So we have 3 cats. If I'm not here, we really like to travel, go to different towns, cideries, breweries, things like that. Just kind of travel and explore.
Oh my gosh. Can we live closer?
I know.
yeah.
Jingles? What is like a 10 out of 10 cat name?
I like nudes. Come on.
Right. Well, the joke was that like my husband and I were trying to find a name, and I was like, haha, how funny would it be if like we were texting each other and be like, hey, send nudes, but like it's like pictures of noodles.
Yeah.
So so that's kind of how we ended up with that, which it works really well because she's like really long in her like core. So like when you hold her up, she's just like this like long little bean, and she's
She's
just
a noodle.
and then Jingles was my husband found her on New Year's Eve at my father-in-law's farm. So the holiday season, so we ended up naming her Jingles the Christmas cat.
Cute.
Amazing. Okay, so if you didn't open By a Thread, what do you think you would be doing for a career?
And so before I started the online side of the boutique and the pop-ups, I was working in senior living. I graduated from Penn State. Yeah, so I like have really been like all over the place. I graduated in 2013 from Penn State with my bachelor's in human development family studies. I worked yeah. Yeah.
Wait,
So
do you know Dr. Chris Ishler?
so I should preface, I went to Penn State Altoona. So I didn't go to main
Okay.
campus. I ended up doing all 4 years at Penn State Altoona because I just really loved it.
Nice.
But yeah, so graduated from that, worked in hospice, ended up getting into senior living and the sales and marketing side of that. And that's what I did for almost 10 years. And then started to do the online boutique thing and do pop-ups. So to answer your question, I guess if I wasn't doing that, I would probably still be in sales and marketing in the senior living world in some capacity.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's hard to say. I like change.
Fair. That's kind of like us, right? You never know.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, we already kind of started talking about it. We're so excited to jump into everything By a Thread. So let's just like jump into it. So you kind of just started your story on like how you first started, but like I know you're about to celebrate 5 years
Yeah.
of By a Thread. So I guess walk us through like when the idea happened to where you are today.
So I always, like you guys were saying, like there was like always one thing that you really wanted to, like you always dreamed of having a boutique. And it was something that I've always really wanted to do, even since I was like a kid. Like I have an older sister. And one of the things that I loved the most about like when we were growing up and back to school was going shopping with my sister and my mom. I just always loved that. Because it was just like the ultimate girl day. You know, you get up, you do like the breakfast and then like you just shop all day. And that was something that I always really enjoyed. And then fast forward, you go through like all of those different clothing stages of your life where you're doing like the fast fashion in college and it's cheap and you're turning and burning it, you're wearing it once. And then life comes and you graduate and you're an adult and you're like, I can't wear this stuff anymore, but I don't really like want to wear the alternative is like boring to some extent.
Yeah.
So I found myself as like I don't know, early 20s and looking for things that I could wear to work, to play and all of that. And there really wasn't very much in our area. At the time, we had a Francesca's at the mall. And that was like the only place I would go. And then they had like some changes with their style, like lots of cutouts and like just weird stuff. And I was like, I just don't really like anything that's available. And then I just kind of thought like at the time there was a website, it was like I think it was called like Jane.com or something, but like all these boutiques would like sell on there. And I was like, boy, that's like a really cool concept. Like all of these places have their own stores, but they're selling on this online platform. Like that seems really cool. And So I would order things from there, and then I'm like, well, I know what that brand is like. So then I would like make these wholesale accounts on vendors' websites. And at the time they were a lot more lenient about it, and they would let you like look at their stuff. Now they just like shut you down. Like you can't even look
Mhm.
without having like your wholesale license.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like interested in that capacity. Fast forward a little bit more forward, I worked in a job and was really tested in just about every capacity. Like I was doing things that I wasn't trained to do, comfortable doing. When you're working in senior living and healthcare, like that world is completely different. And you can ask anybody in it, and it's a real struggle. So found myself just like really unhappy, and I thought I never want to
Yes.
be. And yeah, kind of like your stereotypical, like why did you leave your job? Just found myself really unhappy and really uninspired, like doing what I was doing. And I remember thinking, like, I never want to be in a situation where I feel stuck, like so stuck that like I can't do anything. I want to do something that puts me back in control of my life and my happiness. I ended up changing jobs. This was, I think, in 2017. Yes, no, 2018. And I was going to be doing a lot more traveling at the time. So I ended up buying a different car. And after buying my car, the people that was like with their marketing team had reached out and asked if I would write a review. And they were collecting reviews to enter people into win a gift, like win a gift card or win money. Well, my review ended up being selected and I won $500.
I didn't think they actually like
I
pick
know.
winners from those kind of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. So I changed jobs. I got this car, wrote this review, and ended up being selected. I won $500. The girl that sold me my car ended up getting $100. And my husband and I were actually headed out of town that weekend. We were going to visit my sister and brother in law. And he's like, so what are you going to do with your money? And I'm like, I'm going to start a business. Because, like, the natural, probably responsible thing to do is like pay a bill, like student loans, like
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I'm going to start a business.
Yes.
And that was, I think, in like May of 2018. And by July of 2018, I had um, got my license. I started ordering inventory and everything. And then in August, my sister owns a bakery in my hometown. I reached out to her. I'm like, would you be okay if I did a pop up there? And that was kind of how it all started.
Oh,
How did you know you were going to do fashion? Like from $500 to like I definitely want to do a clothing boutique.
I think it was just something that I really enjoy. Like and I had where I should also say like I had worked in retail throughout high school and college and I really enjoyed it. Like I worked at like Charlotte Russe and Hollister and all of that stuff, but I really enjoyed the one-on-one part of it and being able to style people and be kind of like Sherpa, if you will, to like helping to style people and like find like their own style and identity within that. So that was something like I've just always been really passionate and interested in.
Cool.
that is so like you think you started the whole company off of that $500 that you won? That
Yeah,
is
I
amazing.
still have the deposit slip from my credit union because whenever you open a new account, you have to put $5 in a savings.
Yep.
So $495. And I remember I got my license. They mailed me the copy of it. I took the screenshot of it because you have to provide that to the vendors. And I remember putting my first order in. And I think I had a single rack of clothing, probably, oh gosh, maybe like 5 or 6 runs of product, and just started
Wow.
grinding it out. And everything we sold, I put right back into it. Because at that time I was working full time. So
Yeah.
every dollar made from those events went back in. And then the next event, we, had enough that we had a second rack. So that was really how it started.
Okay.
Wow.
Now we're in July 2018. You like
Mhm.
open so you had a website like that you could have
Mhm.
bought people could have bought online.
Yeah.
You had a website by then already?
Yeah. So, so at that time, like it was, I feel like, and this wasn't that long ago, but it still feels like a long time ago. Like
Yeah.
when I see, like, think, or when I stop and think about how much has changed in the industry in the past 5 years, like at that point, no one in my area was doing that. Like people weren't making websites. They weren't doing
Right.
pop-ups and things like that. But I remember I talked to one of my friends who at the time she has a business as a social media management company. And I think I saw her on Instagram and I was like, you know what? Like, she seems like she knows what she's doing with like the social media side of it and like the web presence. Like, I'm going to talk to her and see if she thinks that thing can actually like do something.
Yeah.
And like asked her for advice on like what kind of platforms people are using. And so I ended up with Shopify because there's like a bunch of different ones if you're like in
Mhm.
the e-com world. Went with that because it was easy to use. And I remember laying in bed in the morning, like uploading pictures and like setting up the website. And it almost seemed like just too easy. Like
Yeah.
it was so easy at that point. Now it's like you get into all the coding and stuff and it's a lot more of a bear. But yeah, at that time I was like, this is kind of easy. And I remember like in hindsight, I think I thought, well, if I build it, they're gonna come. Like that
I
was my
You
mindset
just
5 years ago. And that is not how
believed.
the internet works now.
Yeah, but that's like the attitude that you have to have with
Yeah.
starting anything. If it's a business or like whatever your goals or dreams are, if you're
Yeah.
not trying to start a business, like do it and it will happen, right?
Yeah.
So 2018, July 2018, you have a website and you're doing a pop-up.
Yep.
And so you grow your business enough where you open up a storefront. When did that all happen?
So, like everyone, that there was that whole year of 2020 and everybody had all these changes that were going on. So up and from like 2018 to like early 2020, I had done pop-ups pretty much anywhere that anyone would have me with a rack of clothes. I was like, yeah, because I'm sure a lot of people were like, you did a pop-up at a bakery? What? Like, but anywhere. So I was doing a lot of events. Like I was working, 40 hours a week. And then my husband and I were going and setting up on weekends and doing those events. Um, at that point, there was an event that was going to be in March, I think it was of 2020. Yeah, it was. It was, I know exactly when it was. So we're literally the day that everything shut down. So we had bought all this inventory because it was going to be one of the biggest events, or if not the biggest event that we had done to date. Bought all this stuff, was really excited about like all the racks, everything for it. And then the day that they were setting up for it, I got a phone call from the guy that was organizing, and he's like, Emily, I have really bad news. Like, they're not going to let us do this. He said, we're literally putting the wine glasses out and they're telling us we can't do it. So then I'm like, okay, like, and they're like, we're going to reschedule it probably this summer. Like everything at that point, everyone's
Yep.
thinking like it's just going to be a very temporary thing. So I'm like, okay, no worries. Like, we'll see you later. And then I'm like, I have a lot of inventory at this point. So I'm like, what am I going to do? So I talked to my husband, and at that point, live selling was like the thing that was starting to catch on
Mhm.
because everybody was
Yeah.
at home. So I would do live sales. And something I should also add, my husband and I, we live in a very rural location. It wasn't until like last year, was it last year or this spring? I forget, but we just got Starlink. So like we literally have just welcomed ourselves to the 21st century at this point because we don't have internet, we don't have cell phone service. So my husband and I would work our day jobs, and because we didn't have good internet, we would pack up racks of clothes, drive into his office, and we would do live sales out of his like probably 10 by 10 office.
Amazing.
Yeah, there was no lack of hustle. And it was
Yeah.
certainly not ideal, but like we just rolled with it. So we did weekly live sales to get us through.
And
And
you were doing
then,
live sales on what platform?
so at the time we were using the platform Comment Sold, and it would integrate with
Oh,
Facebook. So it
mhm.
was like pretty ideal. Like you would literally comment sold, the item number, the size that you needed, and it would automatically send an invoice for the customer to have a cart. Yeah, so it was created
Right.
by boutique owners, and it was like it's a great concept, and it makes it easier because otherwise the alternative is you're like manually invoicing and chasing
Yeah.
people down, and it's just not. So we did that even once we got into the brick and mortar, and it was July of 2020, and by that point I like I said I had worked in senior living. And at that point, everything really changed. Like you couldn't do tours in your community, you couldn't do sales
Mhm.
calls and visits. And I was basically just confined to an office and sending emails and calling people. And that's not me. I
Yeah.
hated it. Like everything I loved about what I had been doing was just gone. And like I'm sure a lot of people can sympathize with that, especially during that time. But then it just kind of like, I don't know, I got like a wild hair and I was like, I don't want to do this. Like I miss doing the events.
Hmm.
I want to open a store. And at that point, I had a girlfriend that she had a bakery in a space and she was growing out of it. And she said, I'm going to be leaving it at the end of this year. Like, let me know what you think. I'm like, all right. And if there's anything that I think most people would know about me, it's like once I set my mind to something, hell or high water, I'm going to figure it out. So I just kind of like hyper fixated on it. And I got to the point where I was like, I remember laying in bed and I said to my husband, I was like, I don't want to do this part of it, what I'm doing right now. Like, I don't want to be doing this, like the live sales all the time. And, like we can't do these events. And I just felt so trapped. And like, it's so hard to grow an online only business. Like, I don't want to do the warehouse. Like, do I go all in and like get all this money and buy all this inventory and do what like the big boutiques are doing? Or like, do I do do I do a brick and mortar like where we have an opportunity to get people in and shop with them and have that like one-on-one interaction? And that was like
Yeah.
what I missed the most about it. So I had looked at another space. I fell in love with it. It didn't work out. And then my girlfriend, like her timeline was kind of changing. And I'm like, why, if you're like not really able to function out of it now, what if I just took over your lease sooner? And she's like, oh, okay. So fast forward to about like October of 2020, we started the build out. Um, and during the course of all of this, I'm still working full time, still navigating all of that. My boss at the time had given me permission to flex my schedule because I told her I wanted to do the store, got her blessing. She was going to let me flex my hours and everything to kind of get it up and running. And then we would hire someone and they would be in the store every day. Well, she decided that she was leaving her job. And then the corporate office came in to the
No.
community that I was at. And they were like, absolutely not.
Mm.
Real hard no. Like it's a 40-hour position. Like you have to be there these hours. And I'm like, okay. And we had that hard conversation. I think that was on a Wednesday. I cried the whole way home. And I got home and I said to my husband, Matt, I said, it didn't go well. He said, I kind of figured it wouldn't. And he said, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to leave. So I went in the next morning. It was a Thursday morning. And I said, do you want me to like put a 2 week in or do you want me to like, I'll stay through the end of the week, but like the store is already being bailed out. So I can't back out. So I left. They had me leave that day. I left my job with about a 2 hour notice.
Oh my gosh.
And at that point, then I'm like calling the contractor. I'm like, hey, I'm completely unemployed at this point. Like, I need you to like, really get in there.
Yeah.
So I asked, the only thing I said to my husband was, I said, give me through January 1. And if I'm not making money and this isn't going well, I will absolutely go back to work. And we opened the doors on November 18th of 2020.
And spoiler alert, you didn't go back to work.
I did not go back to work.
You opened a brick and mortar. I'm sorry. I just need to like hallelujah to you. You opened a brick and mortar in 2020.
Yeah.
Which in a takeaway.
How?
You know what? I think me being me, I would have never taken that leap had they not forced my hand. I'm not an impulsive person. I'm an Enneagram 3. Like there's nothing about me where I'm like, like people are like, can you just go for the long for the ride? I'm like, where are we going? What are we wearing? Like that's me. So at that point, I was just like, the build out was happening. Like the inventory was done. The store was already being built out. And there was in my mind, it was like, we have two options. Like you either make it work or you don't. And then, the alternative is you're going back to work for somebody else. And I don't really want to do that either. So, having my hand forced was really like what I attribute to all of that happening.
Unbelievable.
It happened with me too, is I had a full-time job during COVID and I didn't do Pixie full-time. I like couldn't fully commit.
Mm-hmm.
And during 2020, they let me go. And it was like, all right, it's all or nothing, or I have to go work for somebody else. And it worked out for me as well. So it's kind of like sometimes when you're forced and like backed into a corner, it is what it is and you got to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just kind of like, you know, figure it out. Like,
I also
Unreal.
love that your first pop-up was in a bakery and then your first brick and mortar was
in
you
the
took over.
bakery. Guess I got a sweet tooth. Like, yeah.
I
But
guess
I will say,
so.
like, yeah, it is kind of funny when you think about it from that way. And I will say, like, our first brick and mortar was 200 square feet. So, like, it, if you, scroll through the archives of our Instagram, it was like a really pretty walk-in closet. And I think the thought at that point was like, it was just kind of what I would envision. It had that very intimate feeling to it. It was warm, it was inviting, but it was it was cozy. It was 200 square feet. Um, and it was just everything that when I think about what a boutique is, it just embodied all of that. And that was what I love so much about it. And I think that's what kind of lend itself to be able to get us to where we are now.
Your stores are such a vibe. A
Thank
vibe. Okay, so now I kind of hearing your story, I almost already know the answer to my question, which is you do these fun like events like at your store.
you.
And I wish I lived closer so that I could attend. Courtney, we're gonna take a trip one time
Road
to like
trip.
I'm down.
like during one of these events. But I almost feel like you did these because like you were doing these pop-ups and you like wanted to give other opportunities. But please tell us like how you got these ideas to do these really fun and I guess explain these events that you do.
Sure. Yeah. So I think kind of what started it was, I got my start by collaborating with established business owners. And had they not given me that opportunity, I probably wouldn't be where I am. So I've always been a firm believer in, building a sense of community and camaraderie and providing a place if you have it, or even if you don't, and try to borrow it from somebody else, but to give other, business owners an opportunity to get their products out to others as well. So I think that it's just really about having that sense of community and collaborating with others and thinking about like the much bigger picture.
I love
I think
that.
the takeaway here is like reach out to people because you never know what you're going to get out of it and don't be scared to ask and you know
Absolutely. Like when we first started, over on High Street at the original location, like I said, it was 200 square feet, but I made use of every square inch of that
Mhm.
space that I had, for as long as we could. We had macrame workshops where it was very intimate, but we made it work. And I think we probably had like 6 or 8 people in there at one time. We did pop ups with my friend Erin, who owns an embroidery company. We did hair braiding bars. We did all like as many things as we could possibly do. And then because some of our neighbors, actually both of our neighbors on either side of the store were like traditional 9 to 5 offices, we could
Mhm.
borrow that space on Saturdays because they weren't there. So I would have people set up on like outside on the street. My neighbor George, he's an insurance agent, but he had like a really cute little ramp that had an awning, and he gave me the code to his door so we could borrow electricity, and we would have musicians set up on the ramp there.
Ama-
And then whenever I ask him about like, hey, like we're going to be doing a grand opening, just want to kind of give you a heads up, he said, oh, that's fine. I'll sponsor the ice cream truck. So like playing nice with your neighbors and,
Yeah,
kind of what you're trying to bring to your community really worked in our favor. And they were just really
Yeah.
generous to let us borrow that space.
amazing.
Yeah.
I
I'm like,
love it.
this is like blowing my mind. I
I
love
know.
it.
I'm like ready to go like do something else now.
Yeah.
Basic like business owner questions. Everybody has them. What's the hardest part about owning a business, being an entrepreneur, all of that?
I think the hardest part of it is that the ups and the downs, truly. Like if you are a person that thrives on consistency, whether it's like hours or pay or guaranteed PTO or whatever that looks like, that is absolutely probably the hardest part of it, is just navigating that. Because when the highs are high, they're so good and they're so high, but then when you find yourself in those lows, you're like, oh, this is really challenging. And then at the end of the day, like it just comes down to you. Like there's no bailouts. Like it's basically on you to figure it out.
Absolutely. I think for you, I think you need to remember that you opened up a brick and mortar in 2020.
Yeah.
if it ever gets hard, just remember that. Just remind yourself of
Yeah.
that.
We did. And when I always, it's funny because like one of my coaches at Orange Theory would always be like, you can do hard things. Like you can do hard things. And I try to remind myself, I can do hard things.
Yeah.
I can. I
Yeah.
might not want to do them, but I can do them.
Okay, so what do you think the most rewarding part about owning the boutique is?
Oh gosh. A lot of it. I think just proving that I can do it really, like that I can do it and that I have done it and that I will continue to do it. And I feel really, really, really lucky that I get to do this because I think when I first left my position, I was like, when you're working in the senior living world, like the impact that you're making in people's lives is really different. It's very meaningful. And I think
Mhm.
I was a little worried that, coming into this side of things, like how am I going to still feel like I have purpose, that I'm still making an impact, um, and that I'm still bringing value to what I'm doing and to the people that I'm interacting with. And, we have some really, really, really great customers that we have developed relationships and friendships with. And, we have stood in our store and cried with them. We have celebrated their wins with them. So I feel really blessed that we have people that trust us and love us enough that they want to come in and share that with us.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
like the bit right there of having a brick and mortar that
Yeah.
you don't get
Yeah.
through. Okay, so we didn't touch on this. I know we're short on time today, but I know that you now have like a baby store. I
Mhm.
know you moved into a bigger space, but we are all about manifesting around here and we would love to help you manifest your next goal or dream. So do you have a goal or dream for the store that you could share with us that we can put out into the existence?
So I think eventually, like, no, so we combined everything into the one and under one roof. I think eventually, like, what I would like to see is I'd like to have another brick and mortar. I don't really have like a location specifically in mind, but I would definitely like to have another location. But something that I would like to kind of bring into that location is maybe like some furniture and like the home
Mhm.
decor side of things, and kind of really build it up into like a real like nice big brand.
Yeah.
I follow a
Like,
girl
you
that,
want to sell furniture?
yeah. So,
Unreal.
so I think what's exciting about this and what the opportunities that have come from this is that opening by saying yes to one thing, it has opened up like kind of a whole can of worms of things that like I could potentially do and add and enhance that. And one of the like feedback or pieces of feedback that I get a lot with the stores is like, you should have been an interior designer. And I'm like, maybe in my
Yeah.
lifetime, in my next life. And I'm like, well, you could do it in your like free time. Like, I don't have that. So
Yeah.
like not so much, but I think like being able to combine that love and passion for like the interior side of it and curating things, I would love to do that. My brother-in-law, every time I see him, asks when I'm going to establish a men's line. So that's something that I am like really starting to pursue more seriously and do like curated drops with that. Just continuing to grow with, with the
Yeah.
baby side of it and Thread Baby and everything. And we did open up in like a co-op space in Manheim, PA, which is about 2 hours, 20 minutes away from my home. But just kind of continuing to grow the business in that way and just kind of see where we land.
I think it's going to happen for you because
Yeah.
everything that you've talked about today has all started, and there's so much we didn't even talk about, was all within 5 years.
Yeah.
So imagine
Yeah.
what the next 5 years is going to look like. We're going to have to do another pod, maybe sooner, but like to see how far you have come from there.
In
Um,
5 years and in a pandemic.
right? Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I think there's times where like you just get so caught up when you're doing it that you don't even really realize. And like I think my husband and I talk about that. Like you set a goal, you achieve it, and then I just move on to the next thing. Like I can remember the crumbs that I had for like goals. And I was like, boy, if we did that, that would be really cool. And then like, things just start kind of happening. And then you look back and you're like, whoa. Like
Yeah.
there was a point though, like when we were in the really busy season of that first space where I kind of felt like I was along for the ride. And when I set my intentions for like moving into this space and just life and everything, it was to nourish. Like I went from like, I'm going to grow. And then it was like, okay, we've done that part of it. Let's like really get in here. Let's like really plant our roots. Let's dig in and like, let's really enjoy and savor those moments. Because like I said, for that first couple of years and the first brick and mortar, it was just like being along for the ride. And it was hard.
It's a lot to
Quick,
figure out.
Yeah, it is. It's just a lot of navigating. And then for the first time in my life, my days didn't start with sitting down around a boardroom table with 9 other people talking about what I was going to do that day, what the census was, what this was.
Oh my God, the
I
census, you're giving me flashbacks.
Yeah, I literally walked into the store on my first day. I turned the lights on, put the music on, lit the candle, and then I was just like, okay, like now what? Like, boy, I hope someone shows up today. And like I just remember being like, who, like it's like those memes that are like you're looking for the adult in the room and like you're the adult. I'm like, okay, so like this is me. I'm in here. Hope someone stops.
Speaking of, quickly give us like a day in the life of Emily at the boutique.
All right. So we now, like, I will say the one thing that's made it a lot easier is just having a routine. Holiday weeks throw it off a little bit, but like having a really nice routine. So on Wednesdays, Amelia's our manager. She's here in the store with me. So that is the day that we focus on shooting all of the new arrivals, creating content, and then editing the photos, scheduling them, putting together the emails and the texts and everything. And then just kind of planning ahead for the Thursday 9 a.m. launch that we do on our site. And then everything by that point, we're putting it out in the store and refreshing and merchandising it. Anything that we don't get to content wise on like that Wednesday, we're doing it on that Thursday and just using, the downtime between customers and like processing any orders to continue to create content. Even when I think about like a few years ago, what like the day-to-day looked like, it was a little bit different in that there wasn't such a heavy focus on the social media component. But yeah, like I've become a full-time boutique owner and full-time content creator.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I found you with social media. So
Yeah.
you're doing it.
Yeah, it is absolutely a labor of love.
Yes. And before we get your tip on how to live magically, Courtney has some rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
I do. So my first one is, what is your favorite type of piece to find for the store? Like, do you love shopping for shoes or jewelry or like what in particular?
Dresses.
Dresses? And why? Like, are you a dress girl?
I love dresses. Yes, I literally wear dresses like almost every other day. Like today I'm wearing a skirt. I love dresses and I love midi skirts. Those are like my go-tos because they're just comfortable and easy and there's like no thought that has to go into it. Plus it's really fun to find people like silhouettes, especially because like a lot of our customers are like going through that transition phase of like college, young adults, marriage, mom life. So like we're trying to find pieces that are kind of like filling in every piece of that where they're not able to wear it more than like that season that they're in. So trying to find pieces that are bump friendly, pieces that are, just comfortable in general or something that they can wear to work. So just things that kind of like fit into their lifestyle as is.
I love that. I'm like, my next question is like, what is your nearest airport so that I can fly into
State College.
Nice. Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
What's your current favorite piece in the store?
Oh, we have oh gosh, there's so many. We have a really cute little set that I think it's called the Genevieve set. I forget what I named her. But it's like a really cute little floral top, thin straps, has a little bow tie, and then there's a matching skirt that goes with it. And I absolutely love it because it's good for like anyone that is like just going through like if he needs me for like a shower or a wedding. But then I also have quite a few girlfriends that are bumping it right now. And I love a little crop top with a high skirt up on the bump. It looks so cute. So that's probably like my favorite piece that we have in the store right now.
Cute. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Shelby told me you might be a Swiftie.
I'm absolutely a Swiftie.
Okay, what's your era?
I would say Reputation.
Yes,
I love it. I'm a rep girl.
Yeah, rep is like so just like get it done.
I think that's what I loved about it because it was like it's empowering for a female. And it like Taylor stepped into this era where she was like, I'm not taking your crap anymore. And I'm like, hell yeah, girl. I love it. And I just, that's absolutely my favorite.
Yes. Okay. Amazing. I love it. Reps like since I started watching the tour on Netflix too, I'm like especially addicted to
Yeah.
Rep.
Yep. I drank the
Okay.
Kool-Aid and I love it.
Same. I'm like, I'm late to the party, but like, I'm totally on board now. Okay. And then obviously Taylor, but like, besides Taylor, who would be your dream client or like the most amazing person to walk into the door?
Amelia and I talk about this. We fangirl pretty hard over Kelsey Ballerini too.
Yes.
She just
Same.
seems so likable and fun.
Yes.
Like for me, I just like people like that have that kind of infectious like energy and like someone that you want to hang out with. So I would say Kelsey Ballerini.
I love that. And she has a really cute style too. So like she would be fun to
She's
dress.
fun.
She's
Yeah,
like a
she's
nice
fun
body.
and
Like,
girly.
yeah.
I just wish
And
that I
that's
had her legs.
Yeah.
And like come out with the men's line then, so we can also like I'm part here, can dress Chase because like
I mean, like I said, I've got to the point where like people will like ask if I would do this or I would do that, if I wouldn't do that. And I'm like, you know what? Like I've learned to say yes to things. And even if I really am like if I'm nervous, but really good things have come out of saying yes. So I'll never say never at this point. Like,
Yep. That's my saying is never say never.
yeah,
I love that.
yeah. Let's see where it goes.
All right,
Amazing.
and we ask all of our guests their tip to living magically, whether that's in your personal life or how you grew your business or however you see fit. What is your tip to live magically?
So I'm a big podcast girly, and I listened to the Mindset Mentor. And something that he said not too long ago that really resonated with me was that people talk a lot about like it's just a season and this too shall pass. And people talk about it a lot is that when you're in like the trenches and it's like when you're feeling really low, like this is going to pass. But a lot of people don't use that whenever they're like really in the highs and those really feel like those feel good moments, and kind of stopping and reminding yourself that like this too shall pass, like this too,
Yeah.
like this moment right now isn't going to be forever. So trying to slow down, really take advantage of what what opportunities you have and just really trying to live magically, like live in a way
Yes.
that
Yeah.
that you feel fulfilled and that you're filling other people's cups and all of that.
Yes. One of my good friends, Stephanie, always says you should monument things, things that have happened to you that are special, like the day you opened your store or like the first time you sold a piece that you weren't sure was going to sell or not, or like any of those things. But you have to like go through the motion of monumenting it, of like giving it the presence that it deserves, because those moments aren't always going to exist.
Yeah, and
So,
those
like,
things are definitely not always as special to other people. So, like, if you're going to do something, you better be doing it for yourself because, you are the only person that will hopefully continue to show up for you. So, you better be doing it for all the right reasons and doing it for yourself.
Amazing.
Love it.
I could sit here and talk to you all about this like all day.
Me too.
Let you go. Can you let us know where we can find you on social media, where we can find your brick and mortar, all the things? Where can our people find you?
Yes, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Buy a Thread Boutique. And then we do have our baby and toddler side of it, which is called Thread Baby. Same handle and everything, or Thread Baby Boutique, I should say. If you want to shop with us online, it's buyathreadboutique.com. And you can sign up for texts and emails and all that good stuff over there. If you are in town for a Penn State football game, or you just feel like coming to a really cute town, we are located in downtown Bellefonte, Pennsylvania.
You're in Bellefonte? Your store is in Bellefonte?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. I love Bellefonte. So cute. So charming.
It is. It's very cute. So
yeah.
We just love it out here.
Amazing.
Wow. Oh, wait. I am like so proud of you and everything that you have accomplished. And I hope that you have a moment today to really reflect on everything that you just shared with us and like sit in that, because you should be really proud of yourself. And I know that you're celebrating 5 years and that's a huge accomplishment. So I know you're busy and thank you for taking the time out of your day.
Thank you. Yeah, if you're free on Saturday, July 22nd, we'd love to have you. We have quite a lineup for our 5th birthday celebration. We have alpacas coming, and that's like probably like the coolest thing ever. And our theme's going to be party animals. So
oh my God.
So fun. Courtney, should we
Bring
make a
your
trip?
bring your party pants, your party hats, and we hope to see you then.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. We will chat soon, and everybody go give her a follow.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you guys so much for having me.
You're the
Thank you.
best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.